Before we start our presentation, let's get to learn a little bit about our speakers, as well as about our agenda. My name is Oana Ungureanu. I'm the head of the recruitment unit, talent outreach and acquisition. I'm currently based in Budapest. I've been working for the UN for the last 25 years. And Cenge?
Hi everyone, good morning, good evening. My name is Cenge Monigal. I'm focal point for the UNV partnership and UNV deployments in UNHCR. I'm Hungarian, I'm based in Budapest, and I joined UNHCR since 11 years ago. Sandra, over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. Thank you, UNHCR, for inviting us to this webinar. My name is Sandra Legray. I am Operation Associates working with UNV headquarters in Bonn, Germany. I've been with UNV for 23 plus years, out of which I've been working with UNHCR as an operational focal point for some 10 years. Nice to see you, and again, welcome everybody.
Hussein, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Lilongwe. My name is Mohammed Hussein, and I work as the Associate RSD, Associate Refugee Status Determination Officer for UNHCR for the last, since 2021, here in Malawi, Lilongwe, and what I do particularly, I deal with asylum seekers and those forced to flee as a result of persecution. Thank you.
Thank you, Hussein. My name is Hend Amin. I work as an Associate Resettlement and Complementary Pathways Officer with UNHCR Jordan, and I am Egyptian. My role just really focuses on finding durable solutions for refugees. Thank you.
And while you are scanning these QR codes, the first QR code contains international UN volunteer opportunities with us, with UNHCR. And the second one is to allow you to subscribe to our talent outreach newsletter. Let me also give you some details about the session today. It will be around 60 minutes long. We will take questions in the end. The session is recorded and it will be available later on UNHCR's career page. Due to the high number of participants, you will not be able to unmute yourself, but the Q&A section is open for comments and questions throughout the presentation. At the end, we'll take questions from the chat and our speakers will answer the most frequently asked ones. We also have my colleague Xin Zhuan with us in the chat, and she'll be monitoring your questions and provide resources as well. If you are done with the QR codes, the agenda for today. The topics covered, it will be, you'll hear about UNHCR's mandate, who we are and what we do. After that, our speakers will be sharing details on their experience as an international UNV working for UNHCR. Then we'll invite Cenge and Sandra to share more information about the UNV modality, as well as what it takes to be working as an international UNV, some eligibility criteria, and details on the recruitment process. Then our speakers will tell us about how they became international UNVs, and at the end of the session, depending on how much time we'll have, we'll try to address some of the questions that we received from you. Who we are. UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is a global organization dedicated to saving lives and providing refugees with life-saving support. We are protecting and safeguarding fundamental human rights. We are there to help people and governments conclude refugees' legal status as fast and as best as possible. Once a life-threatening situation and the status of people of concern is resolved, as an ultimate goal, we are there to help build a better future for refugees, forcibly displaced communities, and stateless people, as well as to help individuals find their best path to continue their lives in peace and dignity. But who do we support? There are 5 categories of people. First one, refugees. The refugees are the people who have fled from home and have crossed an international border in order to find safety in another country. Stateless people are the persons who are not considered as nationals by any state, including persons whose nationality is not yet established. Third category is asylum seekers, who are individuals who are seeking international protection, whose claim has not been decided on by the country in which the claim was submitted. Not every asylum seeker will ultimately be recognized as a refugee, but every refugee was initially an asylum seeker. Fourth category is internally displaced people, who are individuals who have been forced to flee from their home, but have not crossed an internationally recognized state border. And the fifth category, the returnees, who are persons who was a person of concern to UNHCR when outside their country of origin and who remain so for a limited period, usually 2 years, after returning home to their country of origin. It also applies to internally displaced persons who return to their home, to their prior place of residence. And why we are needed? Because 1 in 73 people on Earth has fled their homes due to conflict or persecution. As of June 2023, there were 110 million people forcibly displaced worldwide, out of which 36.4 were refugees, 6.1 million were asylum seekers, 62.2 million were internally displaced people, and 5.3 million were others needing international protection. The situation is likely to worsen in the next few years, and this is why the work of UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is more important than ever before. Our mandate is based on the 1951 Geneva Refugee Convention. The purpose was to lead and coordinate international action for the worldwide protection of refugees and the resolution of refugee problems. And at the time, we thought that we would be needed for 5 years maximum. Unfortunately, 70 years later, we are needed more than ever. And based on the 1951 Geneva Refugee Convention, the UNHCR core mandate is to ensure that the international protection of uprooted people worldwide. During the last 70 years, we have helped millions of people restart their lives. Our protection, shelter, health, and education services have been crucial, healing broken past and building brighter futures. Our workforce, we keep growing. We are currently at around 21,000 people. And of course, we work tirelessly to make a difference in the lives of people forced to flee. The portfolio of UNHCR is quite vast and comprehensive in order to align with our efforts. Our colleagues work in the functions of protection, finance, supply, HR, administration, security, legal, and many more in order to provide assistance to forcibly displaced and stateless persons. Where we work, we are present in 137 countries around the globe. We are a field-based organization, and more than 90% of our employees are working in the field. 10% are supporting operations in headquarters in Geneva, Budapest, Copenhagen, and Amman. In terms of gender ratio, 61% of our workforce is male, 39% is female. Our staff come from 150 countries. We speak more than 450 languages. Again, we work in 137 countries, in major capitals, but also and mostly in remote, often high-risk locations, in order to make a positive impact in the lives of refugees. We work in 7 key geographic regions: the Americas, Europe, West and Central Africa, Southern Africa, the East Horn and the Great Lakes region in Africa, Middle East and Northern Africa, and the Asia and Pacific region. So this is how we are distributed. We go wherever we are needed in order to lead and coordinate international action for the protection of refugees and the resolution of refugee problems. These numbers are as of October 2023, but they should still be relevant. What is our value proposition? It's based on working together to build a better future for people forced to flee. In order to carry out our mandate, we bring together talented, compassionate individuals determined to use their skills and integrity to make a positive impact in the lives of people fleeing conflict and persecution at a time when global forced displacement is at record high. To enhance our outreach efforts and to better position UNHCR among its competitors, we have developed the UNHCR employee value proposition. And as part of this project, we are strengthening the brand and engaging talent with content that speaks to them to promote a career with the organization as an employer of choice. We commit ourselves to 5 core directions. The first one is protecting the people we serve across the whole spectrum of forced displacement, including asylum seekers, refugees, internally displaced people, and stateless people. The second one is responding to emergencies in a rapid and effective way, ensuring effective preparedness, maintaining the capability to deliver assistance in emergencies and beyond. The third point is including refugees, internally displaced and stateless people in national services and economies through the engagement of development actors. The next point is empowering the people UNHCR serves by recognizing them as agents with the potential to determine and build their own future and contribute to the development of the communities where they live. And the fifth point, solving problems of statelessness and refugee issues in partnership with political, security, and human rights actors. What are our values and principles? As an international and humanitarian organization, we follow 4 guiding principles: humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. And these guiding principles are aligned with our commitments as an organization to save lives and build better futures for millions forced away from home. As many organizations in the last few years, we're also committed, of course, to the values of inclusion, diversity, equity, and gender parity, which are exemplified in the various nationalities, cultures, and languages of our personnel. And before I pass the floor to my colleagues, I would like to say we are looking for colleagues who are passionate and who are willing to work in various places around the world in order to force the people forced to flee. And now the floor is to Hussein Mohammed. Would you like to speak about the picture you have shared with us?
Yes, thank you very much, Joanna. Like I mentioned, I am from Uganda, and I work here in Malawi as an Associate Refugee Status Determination Officer, and my role basically revolves around facilitating the legal and administrative processes by which the individuals, the previous speaker, Owana, has been talking about seeking international protection, are assessed for refugee status. And also this process known as the RSD, Refugee Status Determination, plays a very important role in ensuring that refugees can access their rights under international law. So the picture, the background there, as you can see, I am right there with a long-sleeved shot of UNHCR. And what we were basically doing, that was back in 2023, last year, where we were contributing to the mandate of UNHCR regarding the internally displaced persons, where Malawi was affected by the cyclone, and that was Cyclone Anna. So as UNHCR, we also follow the guiding principle of the United Nations guiding principle on IDPs, where internally displaced persons, we ensure that the internally displaced persons enjoy in full equality the same rights and freedoms under international and domestic law as do the other persons in their country. So here we were distributing emergency relief items, and I was together with the country representative, Mr. Modeste Kwame there, and we were giving these relief emergency items to the Malawi authorities after these internally displaced persons in Malawi could not get these items to run their daily life. So just in a nutshell, that is me there, and we were distributing the relief items together with also the shelter, UNHCR also not only helps with the operations to support the authorities, but also that we to ensure that these in time long any specific assistance needs to their displacement and can enjoy their rights without discrimination or on account of their displacement. So UNHCR again is primarily mandated to provide humanitarian assistance to ensure inclusion in national systems and to also seek together with the governments of Malawi, for example, where I am right now, for these durable solutions. Over to you, Anna.
No, thank you so much. I have seen quite a few hearts popping up in the screen and quite a few claps. So I think that this reflects the appreciation that our audience has for the work you have done. Hussein, can you tell us what are the main duties associated with your role?
My role, yes, my role, like I told you, as an associate refugee status determination officer, I facilitate the legal and administrative processes by which individuals seeking international protections are assessed in the criteria given within the international, regional, and domestic law. So what I do here as my role, we follow the UNHCR steps under its mandate in cases where states lack fair and efficient national asylum procedures. So my role here specifically as an associate refugee status determination officer is to collaborate closely with the authorities to enhance their capacity to conduct the refugee status determination and also improve on the asylum systems. So what I also do is I advocate for the establishment of the national refugee status determination systems that are fair, efficient, adaptable, and produce quality decisions. So the initiative here is to aim to assist Malawi as a government to establishing and strengthening their national asylum system, and also promoting protection and ensuring rights for asylum seekers and refugees are upheld. So my role, again, I contribute to these efforts by supporting the government and also treatment of refugees within the national asylum systems. So it's quite a very interesting challenge, but also it requires a lot of compassionate, because you're dealing with not only the authorities and the people fleeing their countries, but also you need to ensure that the development and maintenance of these processes are accurate information on the refugee status determination procedures, and also follow the practice of the UNHCR standards and policies. So again, my main role is to advocate and support government authorities and legal partners, and also to support the capacity of the authorities to ensure proper procedures in decision making. Over to you, Anna.
No, thank you. Tell us, what is something you have accomplished in your career at UNHCR that makes you feel very proud?
Well, of course, it's very essential. Achievements and growth is an integral part. One of the things that I picked up even before joining UNHCR in my professional development is to acknowledge that progress is key, and learning from my own experiences and also the experiences of others to identify areas where I can improve. But then one significant accomplishment during my career so far at UNHCR that I am particularly proud of is the role in clearing the backlog of asylum seekers. Like Ioana mentioned, we have millions of forcibly displaced persons coming into Malawi. And here in Malawi, we have over 54,000 refugees and asylum seekers. And I can tell you that when I arrived here in July 2021, during the process through collaborative efforts and strategic planning, I process and prioritize the case management. And by the year 2002, I successfully cleared the backlog of these asylum seekers to 17,500 as we speak. And this is something that I've not done alone, but of course, with support from the Malawi authorities, asylum authorities, who basically do these interviews. And my role is to review and see that they actually meet the standard requirement. So that is my greatest accomplishment so far. That, as we speak right now, Malawi is arguably the best when it comes to the backlog of asylum seekers we do not have compared to the other states. So that is my greatest achievement so far. Over to you, Ioana.
No, and that's great to hear. And if you could tell us one best thing about working as an international UN volunteer.
Well, working as an international UN volunteer, first of all, I want to take this opportunity to also thank the United Nations volunteers and also UNHCR as an agency that allowed me to come and contribute to the mandate of its principles. The UNHCR working with UNHCR has given me not only the privilege, but it has given me the international experience working with diverse groups. Like Ioana mentioned, we have over 20,000 colleagues that who work with UNHCR. So it has given me that exposure and experience, and most particularly, I have been given the autonomy to actually support the government of Malawi, something that you cannot believe. I work as the United Nations volunteer, but then the role that I'm given and the trust that I've been given by UNHCR to carry out this role is one of the privileges that I am so proud of. Over to you, Ioana.
No, that sounds great. Maybe very briefly, what was the hardest thing about your experience as an international UN volunteer working for UNHCR?
I beg your pardon, I think you're breaking. Sorry, Ioana, could you repeat the question?
Yes, maybe if you can briefly tell us what was the most challenging or the hardest thing about working with UNHCR as an international UN volunteer.
Oh, thank you very much. I think the challenge usually is a part of life. And I think for any person who wants to work with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, you must be ready for challenges. We are dealing directly with people, and these are people who have the same lives like we do. They have the same dreams like we do. So for me, the biggest challenge is to see that most of these people do not have the assistance. We are looking at an operation where they may not necessarily be enough resources. So for me, working directly with people with that very limited resources makes it very, very challenging. Although we work collaboratively with the states and, of course, the Malawi government to ensure that these people they get the required assistance that they need to rebuild their lives. So reflecting on the achievements and the growth so far, it allows me to acknowledge that within the challenges that I have so far encountered, I have also seen the progress. I have learned from my experiences, and I have also identified the areas in which I can improve on, but I can assure you that the talent and experience and also the best out of you to serve these persons are forced to flee. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you again. This is a very constructive take on challenges. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
We are now moving over to Hend, who is Associate Resettlement and Complementary Pathways Officer in Jordan.
Thank you very much, Joanna. It's my pleasure to be here. That's a start, and I'm really, again, extending the biggest thanks to UNV for this opportunity and for UNHCR, of course. It's really life-changing, and I really encourage everyone on the call to go ahead and apply for international UNV positions. This picture was taken inside Zatari camp, which is a refugee camp in Jordan. It was the very first time for me actually to work in camp setting, so it was very exciting. And this picture shows a picture of me and my colleague on the team and one of our partners, where we were implementing a project of empowering refugees to do refugee-led counseling on complementary pathways and to assist their own community. So it was a very innovative project, and I see it as the future of UNHCR's engagement, where refugees take on the lead on their own solutions and take on the lead on where they want to go with their futures. So over to you, Anna, if you have questions.
Now, this sounds very inspiring, and it's a beautiful photo. And can you tell us something that you have accomplished in your career at UNHCR that you are particularly proud of?
Thank you very much, Oana. Well, coming from a UNHCR background, before joining this IUNV post, I was very confined to working in my country, and I was very confined in my approach even to the UNHCR mandate. But getting this assignment and working in Jordan, it really expanded my horizons, and it expanded my understanding of what UNHCR does. It exposed me to the camp settings. It exposed me to partnerships that I would have never been able to work with in back home in Egypt. So this is one thing, but the one thing that I'm also very proud of is this specific project, which was thankfully recognized as a best practice during the Global Refugee Forum. It's an innovative approach, and it really shows the essence of UNHCR and the essence of working with UNHCR, which is giving refugees the lead. From my own perspective, I find this project as like really the one thing that I'm very, very proud of. But I'm also very proud of working directly with refugees. I come from a government liaison background where I was working at a desk mainly focused on drafting advocacy papers and such. So it was the first time for me to go out in the field and to work directly with refugees, support them, have this human-to-human interaction, and be able to at least see the fruits of my work, where people depart to third countries where they can build their futures. So it was very touching for me the very first time I went to the airport with a group of refugees who were departing to a scholarship in Europe. It was very heartwarming, and I felt like they were my children who were going on the scholarship. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you, Anna. Over to you.
That's a beautiful story, and I would love to hear more about that. But can you also tell us, what do you think was the most challenging thing about working in this role with UNHCR?
Thank you, Anna. This is a very good question because I know that we might be talking about rainbows and butterflies, but of course there are also some challenges that come with the job. And for me, the main challenge was taking on something new that was very fresh and not a lot of people, even inside UNHCR, were still aware of, which is complementary pathways. And this is my main focus. It's brand new and it was not really supported. But right now, like I've been in the post for 2 years. Right now, the Jordan team is being recognized, and we are even receiving funds for partnerships. And I really see the progress. So as Hussein was saying, challenges do come with like this relief and this happiness when it's resolved. So don't be intimidated by working like you say, oh, I'm not really qualified to work for the UN, or I'm not really up to this challenge. Please don't feel like this, because it will be challenging in the beginning, but then you will learn and you will do good and you will start to be creative and bring in your own personality to the post. And also, I understand that many people might see like it as a very competitive process. I understand that, of course, Sandra will give us more about that, but please don't be discouraged. Keep applying. It's a very life-changing opportunity. And although you might be given more responsibilities, as Hussein was saying, and you will be entrusted with a lot, and this is the nature of UNHCR. If you are part of the team, you will not see this discrimination or this like, oh, you are UNV, then you will not be brought into everything. This is not the case at all. They bring you in and they give you more responsibilities, and they encourage you to learn, to make mistakes. So yeah, that's my take on this question. Thank you, Anna.
No, thank you. And I love your enthusiasm. This is exactly what we want to see. We want to see passionate people working for UNHCR. And can you tell us what was the best moment of your entire career? And I hope that refers to your recent career with UNHCR as a UNV.
Yes, thank you, Anna. So the best moment in this journey was when I got the acceptance email, to be honest. I was very excited to work with the team. But then later on, when everything went ahead, the best moment was when I found that refugees really had faith in me. And I found that they really believed in what I was doing for them. And they had this trust and transparency to come tell me everything and to explain to me how they've been feeling and to explain to me about their problems. And we try to solve it together, even if it was not directly within my capacity. But I was like able to refer them to other units that were able to help. So at this point, I knew that I have done something good, and I knew that I was really doing what UNHCR is about, being this safe haven for refugees where they can just come to you and feel at ease to explain what they're facing, their difficulties, and to have faith that you are going to do your best to help them. So that's my take on this question. Thank you, Anna.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think now I will pass the floor to our colleagues, to Sandra and Chenge, to give us more details about UNV and UNHCR.
Indeed, but after such passionate and enthusiastic stories, it will be difficult to switch, but let's quickly browse over the new topics. So UNV and UNHCR. This is a cherished partnership with a history of almost 50 years now. UNHCR is the UNV's third largest UN partner in terms of on-site volunteer deployments. And why UNHCR is partnering with UNV? Because we need those volunteers. The UN volunteers are particularly suited to support UNHCR's mandates. They contribute to the UNHCR goal of refugee protection and humanitarian assistance. And yes, we have excellent colleagues, outstanding workforce, and it is composed of a big portfolio, as you said, Ona, but UN volunteers bring an extra element of the top of this expertise. You just heard Hend, right? So she was unbelievable with such a passionate background. So they bring this passion and the spirit of volunteerism that is visible through their service and really precious for us. And we are proud of our UN volunteers and of their commitment and very grateful for their services. UNV has multiple volunteering categories, each with different aim and purpose. UNV differentiates between two main categories, the online and on-site categories. In the category of on-site volunteering, there are national and international schemes with again different subcategories, which I will not detail now since the focus of today's webinar are the international UN specialist volunteers. Hend and Hussein are two of them. So who these international UN specialist volunteers are and how one or you can become an international UN specialist volunteer. In other terms, what are the eligibility criteria? 1, you must be older than 27 years of age. 2, you have to have a different nationality from the country that you would like to serve in. And 3rd, you need to possess at least 3 years of work experience. Beside that, I just know that it's good to know that the duration of the assignments is between 3 months and 4 years. And in UNHCR, the level of the international UN specialist volunteer assignments are at the P2 level, with other words, are at the associate officer level. In UNHCR, in addition to the already mentioned criteria, there are a few supplementary ones. Let's see those now. For technical assignments, where sort of technical expertise is required, functional assessment or so-called clearance is applicable. Since in UNHCR these assignments are at the associate officer level, a completed university degree from an accredited educational institution is a must. And since integrity, performance, ethical behavior, and trustworthiness are crucial for us, there is a fully fledged reference check process conducted for every selected international UN volunteer. How many international UN specialist volunteers does UNHCR engage in a year and where? Referring back to UNHCR's workforce, OANA shared that as of now, UNHCR engages more than 20,000 personnel. Of these 20,000, many are volunteers. Every year, UNHCR engages at least 1,000 UN volunteers, of which around 400 are international UN volunteers. You know already that UNHCR is present all around the globe in the key 7 regions, and the chart represents the geographical distribution of the international UN specialist volunteer assignments of last year, so 2023. As you can see, regions in Africa host most of the international UN volunteers, then Americas, MENA, Europe, and Asia. And now let's talk about the functions. The most in-demand functions that UNHCR engages for are, of course, functions related to our core mandate: international protection, refugee status determination, Hussein, durable solutions, community-based protection, etc. But UNHCR needs UN volunteers in technical and operational fields too, like engineering, shelter, water and sanitation, public health, nutrition, and in program, project management and monitoring, of course, and in super functions, supply, administration, interpretation, communication, external relations, etc. And now let me give the floor to Sandra, an experienced UNV recruiter, who will share with you details about how to apply and what to expect from the recruitment process. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you so much, Chenge. I'm still under the testimonies impression, like you all are probably, but I'll just give you a brief, maybe practical information about how to become a volunteer, how to apply for UNV assignment. As you see on the screen, we have what we call UVP. It's our platform application and also volunteer journey platform, where you can find it through our website, or you can just directly go to our app.unv.org. You need to register before you apply for any of the assignments. You will have to register your profile. Your profile is basically a summary of your qualifications, skills, and experience, as well your personal information. You will find also online and on-site assignment. It's very clear when you apply. You can also search if you are particularly interested in certain regions, countries, or area of expertise. You have possibility to create an email alert. So when you register, you can immediately create an email alert, and then you will receive the notification on possible matching assignments, and then you can apply. It's very important that you keep your UNV profile up to date. It's your entry point, it's your business card, and if you are really keen to serve, please make sure that you update it regularly. As well, if you gain certain additional qualification, go and amend or enter those skills and experience you acquired. You can also, sorry, can you move to the previous slide? You can also find more information about how to apply and all the other resources in the UVP platform if you just go to Explore section. Next slide, please. So I'll tell you a little bit more about recruitment process, because lots of people are interested. What happens when I apply? How does it work? How long does it take? So I'll just briefly run you through the process so you have more information about that. So obviously we receive the requests, we call them description of assignments from the host entities. In this case, we received the assignment description from UNHCR. And then this assignment is created on our platform in UVP and posted through our website. Once the assignment is posted, then candidates come and apply. They, as I mentioned earlier, you can search for different assignments, categories, countries, agencies, and so on. After the deadline of application, UNV and mainly recruiters in UNV will look at all the applicants and shortlisting the most suitable candidates for the assignment. Usually we submit 3 to 5 candidates for one assignment. So as you know, the competition is high. Make sure your application is well written, well presented, so that you have more chance to be shortlisted. UNV does not select candidates. So it's the host entity, in this case UNHCR, will receive our shortlist, and they will proceed with the next process of interviewing and selecting the candidates. Most of the time, or most of the host entities, and I believe UNHCR as well, are using what they call competency-based interviewing. So you can prepare in advance, make sure that you have an examples relevant to this assignment and to this application. Once the host entity and UNHCR in this case inform us about the outcome of the selection process, then UNV takes over and prepares the offer and further share information with the candidates on condition of, well, you will receive all the conditions in the offer, listed in the offer. Once you accept the offer, then there is some other pre-departure, we call it, formalities, which needs to be completed, including medical. You will have to complete some courses prior traveling. And of course, you will have to be medically cleared to be able to travel, but also travel needs to be organized, and you will be issued a contract, and you can then go and start you travel to your assignment. Host entity will also prepare for your arrival, and you will arrive to your duty station. Next slide. So these are just some entitlements we provided for international assignments. So you receive what we called entry lump sum. This is about 4,000 US dollars, which is for you to prepare to settle in the country. So when you arrive, you will probably need to find an accommodation, and you will need some money to pay for that. obviously you might have some other expenses locally, so this money is supposed to cover those expenses. We also provide for all the travel, we provide your tickets, entry and on duty, as well as repatriation. So when you finish your assignment, we provide what we called monthly living allowance payment. So this is the specific payment which is supposed to cover your accommodation and your living cost in that country. Monthly living allowance vary from country to country depending on the standards of living in the country, but it's in a range between, let's say, 2,000 to 3,500, 600 US dollars. You also get, as an international volunteer, you get insurance. So you get your medical, life, disability insurance, as well as dismemberment and malicious act insurance. So you are covered with your contract for those insurances. Every volunteer is entitled on 2.5 days of annual leave per month. You are also entitled on home visits for long-term assignments. So if you serve already 24 months, you will be entitled on home visit. And then what we also provide, we call the exit allowance. So it's 225 US dollars per month, which is paid to you upon completion of your assignment. So this is just a small amount of money to help you transition when you go back to your country into your new job or a new volunteering assignment. So we've listed here some important links. Obviously, the application where you can apply, some information on YouTube from recruiters, very useful, very practical. How can how can your application stand out, and what are the information you need to pay attention on? We also have a support on our website, frequently asked questions. We also have explore section, which I mentioned earlier, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn because there is quite lots of useful information there, and we do post some assignments on LinkedIn as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for the insightful information. I'm sure our audience found it very useful. And let's go back to Hend and Hussein, who can maybe tell us about how they became an international UN volunteer with UNHCR. And maybe I will start with Hussein. Can you tell me what was your educational background and your professional experience that helped you become an international UN volunteer with UNHCR? And maybe also what were the soft and personal skills you needed to develop to help you with this assignment?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity again. Well, with a background in refugee management stemming from my origins in Uganda, I think we all know Uganda, a country renowned for its leading refugee hosting model in Africa. I've had the privilege of gaining extensive experience in refugee protection since 2009. So my academic qualifications include a bachelor's degree in development studies, supplemented by various training courses in international law and human rights law. So I firmly believe that compassion is a crucial component that should accompany a genuine interest in serving displaced persons. Of course, my commitment for the past almost 15 years, over a decade and a half, to refugee protection is bolstered by my practical experience and academic foundation in the field. So also I have availed myself of numerous training opportunities provided by the UNV and also the UNHCR, which have further enhanced my expertise and skill set. So just to my audience, working with UNHCR has been instrumental, and continually my skills and it has also fostered a resilient mindset, allowing me to effectively mitigate the different challenges and complexities of refugee protection and humanitarian work. So with that kind of background in refugee management, I believe that those are the skill sets and also the mindset that has taken me this far. Over to you.
No, thank you so much, Hussein. And Hend, can you tell us what brought you into UNHCR and into UNHCR as an international UN volunteer?
Thank you so much, Oana. So for me, I studied political science. And I had a minor in statistics, and that was just a bachelor's degree. And when I applied to the UNV, I just tried to highlight my skills. I see you've asked also a question about the soft skills that people need to develop. And from my perspective, UNHCR really is, we are serving refugees. So to some extent, we do customer service for refugees. So the soft skills that you need to develop are those surrounding providing best service to refugees, whether it's the patience, it's the ability to listen and the ability to explain yourself thoroughly, and to give like the information in a simplified manner. So these are the things that I worked on mostly. But during the interview, it's also important for you to be able to sell your experience and to sell yourself, and to highlight how your experience is relevant to the position you're applying for. So for me, I had a previous experience with UNHCR. Like, I was very lucky. I graduated and then I became an intern with UNHCR. Later on, I continued to work within UNHCR Egypt. So I was very lucky, and this has helped me a lot. But I'm also pretty sure that UNHCR accepts people from diverse experiences and with diverse skills. So it's like I wanted to stress that people should not be intimidated, because I myself was very scared when I first applied as an intern to UNHCR, and I felt like it was such a big opportunity that I might never be accepted. But it really is just about how you present yourself and how much you work on yourself. As Hussein said, there's a variety of resources provided by UNHCR and by UNV. You can take courses online, and you can even work on your language skills, which is key to your interviewing stage and your application stage. It's very important also to make sure you really review and look into your application several times before you submit it, just to make sure that you wrote everything and you really sold yourself on the application. So I hope that this satisfies your question.
Thank you so much. And having started as an intern as well, I can only agree with you. Just need to try and show the best version of yourself and show the passion you have for the role. I think this is the most important thing. And we are almost getting to the end of our webinar today. And I will ask our presenters to tell us in 1 minute or less, what's the biggest takeaway or advice for those listening to us right now who got inspired to apply to international UN volunteer assignments with us, or who are already working as international UNVs but would like to further improve their careers in this field with UNHCR? And maybe I'll start with Chenge.
Thank you, Anna. Well, my biggest advice for those inspired to apply for international young volunteer assignments with UNHCR is to familiarize first with our mandate and to dedicate yourself to volunteering and its principles, and let this shine through your application, and be passionate, like just Hend said. I know application and selection process is very competitive, but you mustn't give up. Ensure that you meet the requirements and keep applying, and maybe try out other volunteering schemes too, like online volunteering or the national schemes, because those might be very helpful for the next steps. and Complementary as well. And for those already serving as international UN volunteers, first of all, a big thank you. We sincerely thank to each and every person for their continuous interest in UNHCR and in volunteering with us. And please check regularly the new opportunities. You can serve as international UN volunteer for 4 years. Thank you. I give the floor to Sandra.
Sandra?
Thank you, Chenge. Thank you, Chenge. I would just like to add, Chenge already said it quite well and covered most of it, what I would also recommend. But in addition to that, I would like to be authentic. You know, make sure that your application is really authentic. We know today we have lots of technologies available and people just go and ask AI to make their application and then they apply and they are actually surprised they are not even shortlisted. So as Chenge says, there is a lots of competition, lots of qualified candidates. So make sure that your stands out, that it's authentic. I just shared at the end of my presentation slides, I shared the information where you can find some tips on how to actually improve it. So use all these resources to improve your application. As well, update your skills. We need to update our skills continuously. And that's my personal advice, learning and get new skills. While you're looking, try to volunteer. If you can't get into UN, try to volunteer with NGOs locally or other organizations. Thank you.
And any tips from you?
Sorry, Ioana, are you speaking to me?
Yes, I was asking if there are any tips from you.
Thank you so much. Yes, so I have one last tip that I think it was mentioned, but I want to stress it, is that when you apply, try to read the description of the assignment you're applying for. Because I personally applied a lot when I was 25 years old, and I didn't even realize that the minimum age was 27 for the international UNV. So it's important to read the description as thoroughly as you can and try to match your experience to the requirements of the position, and try to make it to make it as close as possible to the requirements. And the last thing that I also wanted to say is that don't give up. As you guys said, it's important to keep applying, maybe 60-70 applications until you're called in for an interview, and that is okay. It shouldn't be frustrating to you because it is a competitive process. It's an international process, so just don't be discouraged. You will get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent tips. And Hussein, last but not least.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think the colleagues have said it all, but there is one potential advice that I would like those interested to join the UNHCR and even further their career is to develop language skills. UNHCR, for example, operates in a very diverse linguistic environment. Remember what Ioana just talked about in her opening remarks. So proficiency in languages commonly spoken in refugee hosting countries. I mean, we have Swahili. I mean, Swahili is now officially the local language of Africa. So, and this is a widely spoken language. So I think developing a language skills is very important. And the other is, I believe you have to stay informed. Staying abreast to humanitarian issues, refugee crisis, developments in the refugee protection, understanding the context and challenges faced by refugees, for example, what is happening in Sudan, internally displaced persons, is very essential. And also networking, something that very many of us actually we take it for granted. Networking is very, very important. Of course, building professional networks within the humanitarian community is very important, and also connecting with professionals like these ones, for example, so working in refugee related fields, networking can provide valuable insights, mentorship, and even potential job opportunities. So also working with refugees, you like Hend mentioned, you have to have a reasonable commitment. You know, you need to showcase your dedication to humanitarian principles, empathy, compassion, like one of our panelists talked about. So you have to have the genuine desire and authentic, like Sandra Legre mentioned. You need to have that genuine desire to contribute to the UNHCR's mission of protecting and assisting refugees and internally displaced persons. And also, last but not least, is you need to be a little flexible and adaptable. Working with UNHCR often involves operating in challenging and dynamic environments. So if you demonstrate this kind of flexibility, resilience, and also adaptability to changing circumstances, I think that can also be a very good plus for you. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our 60 minutes flew by. So we will be answering the questions in the chat, and you will all receive a recording of this session as well. I would like to thank our speakers, our key speakers today, and all of the participants. Find us, follow us, join us on LinkedIn, on X, on our Facebook page, and also on Instagram. Wishing everybody an inspiring end of the day after such a beautiful presentation from our speakers today. Thank you, everyone.